YouTube. You can go to my Facebook and share.
Yeah, I just shared it with her.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Over 1 million t-shirts sold, man. That's a sack.
It is, but I'm upset we ain't sold 2 million yet.
That's all. What's most important for you at T-Shirt Kings, man?
Customer service, man. Taking care of my customers, making sure that they major.
What about your team?
I got the best team in the world. They get busy. They love the customers. We got a saying, I don't gotta go to work, I get to go to work.
What are some of the different styles of shirts that you can get made here?
I got DTF printing. We are definitely the screen print kings. We turn that around immediately for you, which, by the way, is what separates us from other companies. Somebody will tell you it takes 2 weeks. I tell you it's gonna take 2 days.
Where do you see T-Shirt Kings like 5-10 years from now?
We're already the best t-shirt company in the world. We already are coming up with concepts that I don't see anybody else doing. You order 20 shirts, 10 of them are free. Bulk discounts, fast turnaround, and free designs.
Completely world class.
A constraint that doesn't really exist.
Exactly. Ooh. Wow. You weren't expecting that answer, was you?
Time or black?
Time. It's something they put on us, man. Because as we know, there is no beginning, no end. No, you know what I'm saying? As far as I know, energy don't die, right?
Right.
Okay, that's what I was told. I don't know. I might not know that. I'm just a dumb thug according to the white folks, you know. Let me stop.
Yeah, y'all, we just chopping it up. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about a little bit about today, man. How's your day been so far, man?
Man, it's been a good day, man. It's been a busy day. Really, like I said, I got up this morning, I've been procrastinating getting my workout back on, so I made sure I got up and left the house this morning, 3:30 workout.
3:30 a.m.
Yeah, so I said, let me find that time instead of doing nothing when I wake up.
For sure, man. Man, I actually did something super dope and productive today. Today I got a chance to go to the day to school. We had what's her name, Dr. Huggins on our podcast recently, so I went out there to go visit her students today, man. It was super dope. I got a chance to participate in the Shark Tank. My man Beating Up from the podcast was here. Our bro Aaron Lumpkin was there, and also our sister, what's her name? Kenya Akbar, man. And I got a chance to see something I was astounded by, man, was these kids are way more humanitarian than I was at their age. Like, they actually cared about, like, homeless people, and a lot of their project was, like, centralized around helping people, man, and it reversed my way of thinking because, like, we in this, this microwave society where all we think about is the bad kids.
Right.
And then to go to a school that is, a charter school, which is sometimes, it's a lot of students' last stop. Man, I saw some brilliant young kings and queens in there, man.
And those are the narratives that we need to talk about more in our community. Like one of the projects I've started over the last few years is like the Black Community Blackboard. We have a YouTube channel and everything. Because you remember I had Joe on there a few times.
For sure.
And
Shout out to Joe Cooley Love.
Right. And that's that channel is just really dedicated to the positive people that are doing things in the Black community, because we get the messed up narrative everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
Turn on the news, our homeboy, like I talk about this a lot. I could post something real positive on my page and get like 7 likes, but let me put some crazy crazy
For
stuff.
sure.
I got 2,000, you know what I'm saying,
sure.
likes, Greg, then sharing it and everything. So man, it's about pushing that narrative, man.
For sure.
A positive narrative.
So man, I also had the opportunity to moderate for the voting what was it called? Your vote committee that like we was at.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So like explain what that situation was like for you.
Okay, that was a good I hope they keep that going. That was positive energy and everything. Well, what he's talking about is like we were on out there, shout out to Ross Media and everything.
For sure.
We went out there to that studio, and a panel of us talked about the importance of getting out here to vote, also voter education, why we have to as a society. Because I know a lot of people say, my vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter, but it does. You know what I'm saying? Especially locally, your vote matters more locally than anything else.
Man.
And so we had a chance to talk about that stuff, and that was a good experience. I was blessed to sit next to the elders. Those two, oh my God,
yes,
man.
Yeah, man, they tore it down.
And the energy that they were putting into the room, you could just feel it, man. And I really enjoyed that. And I hope they follow up and do that at least monthly, like they say they're going to do, because that's a positive thing.
For sure, man. So, like one of the trending topics is, of course, the number one selling book right now on Amazon right now is Stolen, the book of Ahava El Elyon. Have you got a chance to get into the book yet?
I read like pieces of the forward and everything, but I got to knock that book because I'm a reader. So you know what I'm saying. And I know one thing about me. Once I pick up something, I'm not putting it down till I knock it all the way out.
For sure, man. So one of the things like I deal with in there, I mean, it was a lot of stress going on in that book, man. So like, how do you personally deal with stress, man?
Well, see, talking about stress, because stress and trauma run hand in hand. And one thing I've come to understand, like, stress is only going to be there if I allow it to. And like a lot of times, I don't understand that I create the way to get out of that stuff. And it's really about educating myself spiritually, you know what I'm saying? I think that, a lot of times I think I have to think my way through stuff and all of that stuff. But it's really about getting that connection spiritually, because, trauma is held in the body, and that's what causes the stress. You know what I'm saying? We think that trauma is in our mind and everything. No, we just think about the traumatic things, and then we'll feel it, the tensions in our body. That's what creates the stress. So a way that I deal with the stress is, one is, trying to stay connected spiritually, to my creator and everything like that. And I don't knock nobody for what they believe. And then I also try to do the holistic thing, get into the physical aspect, use that to burn off that energy and everything like that. And just staying around positive people also take a lot of stress off of me. A lot of stress off of me,
One of the things you also do that I noticed, man, you travel all the damn time, man. Boy, man, listen, man. Are you a nomad or something? Like, why are you always on the road, man?
Man, part of the reason why I'm on the road, people think I just be out just having fun.
Yes, me. I'm one of them people.
Yeah, which I do. But that's part of one of my business. One of my business. Because me and him talking, I joke. I said I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm a multipreneur, which means I own multiple businesses and everything. And like I own two audio recording businesses that specialize in recording for 12-step programs, because I'm in long-term recovery myself. Anybody who knows me, and most of y'all in Dayton know, back in the day when I used to put that alcohol in me, how I used to act. So, I have no problem talking about, what I'm saying, my struggle with getting off of, getting off the sauce, as we call it, and everything. But like what we do is like I go to different events for these 12-step programs, and I record those, and I sell the files or the CDs there, and that's part of my business and everything like that. So even though it looks like I'm just jet setting, I'm also working at the same time.
Man, so we're gonna delve into your life story coming up soon, but first we gotta start off with man, Legend of Your Podcast. But I got my man Ahava El Elyon in the building, man. He over there texting right now, man, during the show, man.
No,
I'm joking.
I'm just looking for comments and just seeing if anybody is tuned in with us. But man, this is the Legendary People Podcast. I'm Ahava Elyon. We want to say what's up to our sponsors. Starting with Horizon Science Academy. You ain't cool if you don't go to that school. What school is that? Horizon Science Academy, Dayton High School. Want to say what's up to Caramel Day Spa, or it's actually Carmel's Day Spa. No, it's at Caramel.
Man,
but
tomato.
What's up to my bro Red? Well, now I want to pronounce his business right.
For sure,
man. That's one of my good brothers, man. He owned Majestics when I was on 3rd Street, across from
man.
When I was first there on 3rd. So me and Red, we kicked it a lot, man. And Red has done like the complete opposite, man, from going to Maximilian and Majestics to now he's got this beautiful spa up Main Street, man. And he has the most serene place where you go in there and just do all of your spa activities. From getting massages, getting facials and waxings and all type of steams and stuff.
That's
And
dope.
he got couples massages and stuff going on. So Carmel's Day Spot, man, up in Inglewood, man, is a nice spot, man. And he shows so much love on the tickets for just all the stuff that he do up there. So I just want to give a special shout out to him, Michael Wright, Tommy Owens,
For sure.
you know, all my bros, Red Sky Bulls. Who else I got back here? Oh, Acute Eye for Design. I got Lake
Let me move so you
and
can see it.
Dr. Isaiah Pittman, Fit Fam, Ebony Vacation,
You low hoes,
Network
Indy.
and Chill, man.
Yeah,
My,
network and
man,
chill.
my baby, the real Flower Queen. Get
Sure.
you all together. My bro, Amani Seamoss, the Seamoss boss. My brother Kwame, always up here, man. Just thinking of just different ways that we can
Got my hustle up.
make
Oh,
make
yeah,
a
Jason,
little
for
impact.
sure.
Agnes All Natural Grill, my bro Pastor Pete at Fort McKinney, UMC. So saying what's up to all our sponsors, man, checking in and showing love, man. You know,
I want to give one special shout out because the fit was sponsored, man. Shout out to Cristo Original, man, our dog, our brother, fan of the show. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my bro, man.
yeah,
After
man,
the drip
love
on the day.
Cristo, man. Cristo is like the best designer, bro.
Agreed.
Like if I had to put one designer up from the city that I thought could really like stand on a world stage with just his eye for fashion and how he creates, it would be Cristo.
I think the strong second, or you know what I'm saying, like 1A, 1B will also be my bro, man, Telefero Sebastian, man. Like the way he take bleach and make, oh God, on a black shirt, he put bleach on there and turned into a portrait on that thing.
They came up with our new logo.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
shout out to my bro, Pharaoh, for sure, man.
Shout out to Pharaoh, man. Much love and respect to both of them bros, man. You know what I'm saying? They like, and they battled before too.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
What I'm saying?
Hey, look,
which is kind of cool.
I don't know who bridged the gap between them, man. It was super dope, man, because like they was at odds and ends, man. And I'm glad.
They literally had some Facebook battling going on.
Yeah, they made up at a network and chill event.
Well,
real.
that is good. That's really good, bro. But what I was saying was, I was just like, man, you know, like iron sharpens iron.
For
man.
sure.
And you know what I'm saying? But I remember on the Facebook when they was battling,
It was over Kobe.
Both of them are known for like being creative and artists and stuff. And people was like, bro, what is y'all arguing for? What y'all gonna do? Get y'all's paintbrushes out and fight with like swords with them? But that was just showing like everybody recognized that those bros is too talented
Man.
to be involved in anything
Right.
other than just being creative.
For
man.
sure,
You know
bro.
what I'm saying?
And bro, Metal Deal love, man. Come on, man. We all went to school together, man. That's the hardest part, man. So
But even outside of that, though, just like on another build though, I think that, bro, coming from your angle, bro, man, going to prison, spending time like outside of the role that you was in, like it's like maturing into what you would eventually becoming, right? Just building on, like, how do you see the community right now? Well, what's the worst thing that you see in the community?
The worst thing I see in the community is really misinformation. You know what I'm saying? Because like it goes back to what I was talking about the narrative, how we get so much negative narrative out there. That's the miscommunication I'm talking about, where people talk about, you know, oh, the community is just so bad. When we got a lot of people in Dayton that's doing a lot of positive stuff.
for sure.
And I'm talking about, like, look, especially like this younger generation, like, you know, what drew me to, you know, I met Peanut through Locke. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dude, man, for real. And I seen his passion. I met Chris down at a city commission meeting, and he was, you know, he was in there passionate, going through some things about, you know what I'm saying, how speaking out how he felt. And I got with him after the meeting because I was like, look, man, everybody else is trying to tell this brother how to harness his passion. I'm like, nah, be who you are, but there's just a way that we do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I didn't just wake up one day and I had it all together, know the decorum on how to do it. So it's the misinformation, man, where we need to stop that, man. Stop the narrative. As far as like the community as a whole, it's always going to come back. The worst thing I think is wrong with our community, and people might not like it, but it's the truth. It's white supremacy. You know, it's just like we've been conditioned.
The book said,
Yeah, we've been conditioned to believe that, you know what I'm saying, like you know, like we're supposed to live like this. You know what I mean? We've been conditioned to fight against each, you know, like what y'all were just talking about, you know, with these two creative brothers, and we're supposed to be. We don't know how. We're conditioned that the only way to settle our differences is to man up and lock up instead of learning how to talk with each other and say, hey, man, this is what's really going on and everything. So it boils back down to that, like I say, miscommunication, because we got a lot of talented and positive people in our community.
Great.
And if we can just get the narrative out, it's going to change a lot of things, man, with especially the younger generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bro, what level do you think you got to get to for white supremacy to actually hold you back?
Well, the only way white supremacy, you know, and I believe this, by no means, y'all know I believe it exists. Only way white supremacy.
I don't, by the way.
Well, okay. Well, only way it's going, you know, really hold you back is if you allow it to, and you get stuck in there.
Thank you. I think that's what I think.
See, the reason why I say I believe it exists, because, you know, like everything, you know, most policies and everything that are, you know what I'm saying, like let's not get this twisted. Most policies are meant to hold back people of color, black people, and poor white people.
Right.
And what's so sad is, like, most people are conditioned to vote against their interests.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I talk to some of our allies and everything, I always tell them to go back to where it all started with, you know, Bacon's Rebellion. Half of them don't even know about that.
Mm-hmm. What is it, bro?
Okay, Bacon's Rebellion, like before America was a country.
Bring your mic to you too.
Okay. Before America was a country, you know what I'm saying, you know, and we were still under rule by the colony, by the Queen and all of that. Most of us people of color, you know what I'm saying, whether we were already here on this continent or whether we came over across the transatlantic and everything, we were treated the same way. You were known by your nationality.
Yeah.
Even though we might have been, you know, indentured servants and everything, we got our freedom after a while. Poor white people were the same way. And we worked together to a point where, you know, it came where a rebellion happened, Bacon's Rebellion, where they were trying to, you know, overthrow the Indians and all that. But, you know what I'm saying, the poor people and the black people came together and they almost overthrew the elite. That's why they keep so much, you know what I'm saying, misinformation. This is where the construct of white started too.
Yeah.
Because, see, there was no such thing as white people back then. There was no such thing as black people back then. You were known by your nationality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You might have been, you know, Peanut the Moore or Greg, you know, wherever I was from. That's what I was known as. It wasn't the color.
Right.
But after that, they said, hold on, man, these people came too close to overthrowing us, you know, the elite. So we got to do something about it. That's when the invention of white people came. That's when so many laws changed, where they started putting us in servitude for a lifetime. You know, that's where, you know, we can no longer, you know, say own gunpowder and stuff like that. Because, you know, it's a lot of stuff. And I always encourage people to do history, you know, do research on history. Because, you know, that's where I say it comes back down to the you know what I'm saying, the bad information that we get. If they you know, this day and age, we have everything you need right here, but we'll rather TikTok than do some research.
So I want to add to that point also, man. I found out some information today that was terrible information that's actually going on today that's holding black people back personally. Or the people that just live in this general area, which is primarily black people. I'll just say it like that. It's not designated to only offset black people, but people that primarily live in this area. And that is the Habitat for Humanity, right? So like those houses that like they building brand new, like you see all them brand new houses?
Yeah.
It's a law that you cannot purchase those houses for 30 years.
Yeah, well. So
if you think about that, okay, you have people that will live in there, multiple families that will live in there because, I mean, it's affordable, they live there, but they never have the opportunity to purchase that home. So let's say somebody does live there for 30 years. They haven't built up any equity in that home, even though they paid rent. And then it's literally making it to where you have a community that isn't structured to where you have home ownership. Like the baseline for generational wealth is home ownership.
Property, yeah.
Andy Stinson said Majestics. Tell him to open that back up.
Man.
Oh no, my
Majestics was going crazy.
It
Man.
was. Those were some of those dark days for me, but I had good times.
I
Peanut
put-
Johnson, dope shirt and hat. You lit. And
Appreciate you,
Jerry
Crystal Rich.
Halfridge said, "How I get one? Please let me know." Might be talking about that. But how she get one? Go with Crystal Original.
Crystal Original.
So his name is Christian Armstrong. On
I'll
Facebook.
tag it.
And then what's up with it? D Teller said, "What's up, Greg?"
My man.
She checking in with you. D, you know that's Deborah.
Yeah.
That's my girl. Yeah.
Let me
Look,
see.
my bro,
Then
tell the
where
Pharaoh
we at?
checking in.
Yeah, Pharaoh checked in, said, "What's up? What's up with the minutes up?"
I want to touch on what you were just talking about with that home ownership.
Yeah.
That was one of the discussions that came up when we had our breakfast club, our monthly breakfast club that Felons with a Future started doing. It's about the home ownership in our community. And one thing that we said we're going to come back in June 3rd and have start trying to put together is how do we go about creating a co-op?
Mm-hmm.
Where us as a community own this realtor or whatever, you know what I'm saying, where we can buy up some of these homes, buy up the land, and be able to really do what we want to do, have home ownership in that community. Because one thing, like, if you look through Dayton, I heard you two talking about it, even Kenyon yesterday when y'all wanted to talk about one of the reasons why it's so dilapidated and it looks crazy because nobody really owns any homes here. And if I don't own my home in my own community, why am I going to take pride in it?
Agreed.
So we're looking at, creating a co-op so that we can start buying these homes up. That way we'll put the unity back in the community.
That's a bar.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a bar.
That
Here,
way-
man.
Yeah.
Take that point, man.
You $5, please. But yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But that's one of the things that we're talking about. So anybody who wants to get involved in trying to see how we can develop this co-op about owning these homes and everything, please get up.
So I call to action right now. Aaron Lumpkin, I just tagged him in the post as well. Man, we had a lengthy conversation after we talked at the Dayton school today. He has a whole initiative together, man, to where he literally matching lenders. And he works primarily with Chase, but he don't care about going across the lines. He literally gonna pack it out with, like, he has things in place right there. Like, it was amazing to see somebody that's working higher than me on things. Cause I'm thinking, okay, I'm just trying to fix what I got going on in my situation. He doing high power stuff, such as he's talking to Blackshear about the same thing I'm talking about.
Right.
He's also talked to, what's the guy above that? Mike Turner.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Congressional.
so
Congressional.
he's working on these things proactively, man. So man, I'll definitely want to salute Aaron Lumpkin today, man. I can't wait.
Aaron, please show up to our next breakfast
There we
club.
go.
You know what I'm saying? At Wesley Center, June the 3rd, from 10 a.m. to 12. If nothing else, come get a meal. But just that way you can come in and talk to us about how we can go about doing the funding of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, man. Like, that's a bro that's really working for us, man. For sure. Like, if he run for office, he can get a seat. Speaking of which, we gonna get to your lengthy past, man. So let's start over, man. Here on the Legendary People podcast, I'd like to find out the origins of our legends. Without further ado, where'd you grow up, man?
Oh, man, I'm born and raised in Dayton. I grew up right off of Cornell, right there by Westland Park.
Okay.
Yeah. Originally, I'm from Dayton View. Originally, I was born on Cambridge, but when I was about 6, we moved over there, and that's where I spent most of my life. Lifelong Daytonian. I done lived other places, but something always brings me back home. So yeah.
So through the scope of your earliest eyes, man, like, what did the neighborhood look like for you?
I'm going to tell you, when we first moved over to where we did, the white people were moving out and we were moving in because, we...
White flight.
Yeah, we were moving in there in the late 60s,
That's the name of it.
It was, yeah. That's what they taught, how they titled it, yeah. And
So funny.
we were moving. I remember when I first moved on my block, it was only like 3-4 black families there, but over the next 10 years, more people were moving in because we had a middle class then. We had a middle class. We still do, but it's not really seen in the inner city as much.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's my neighborhood too.
yeah, and
I'm right there on Philadelphia and Forest Grove.
okay, yeah, and it was a good neighborhood. I mean,
It was major.
it was
It was nice.
It was
It
nice,
was
yeah.
lit.
And I mean, it was still those days where we could play outside, all night, all that good stuff. and a clean community.
Mm.
It was a clean community,
Man.
you know, and that's how I
All of
remember.
those houses was good though, man. All back up by the seminary.
Yeah,
And like I said, like Philadelphia, Forest Grove, Tennyson,
All
all of
that,
those
yep.
streets, Shasberry, all of it back in the 80s. So
Yeah.
I'm there in 1980. Is that about the time
Yeah,
you was
like,
there
we
or
moved-
even earlier?
we moved over there in 77. You know, about 77, 78, and like I say, it was a good neighborhood.
It was, man.
And,
It was
you
nice.
know, and just watching how it transferred from, you know, what it was then to what it is now, and it's not as bad as what it was. You know, I see people trying to, you know, revitalize our communities. But I would like to see it more locally than out of town people
Agreed.
coming in there doing it. But the neighborhood was good, man. We had a community. That, man, I grew up in that era, and you know, I know he could tell the same stories where the neighbor could whoop your ass if you was wrong.
Yep. I grew up in that same type
And
of time
then-
in Westwood.
And then if you know, once you got home, you got another whooping. Because
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? We were really actually living by that proverb. It takes a village to raise a
For
child.
sure.
You know, so yeah.
So like, what did mom and dad do for work?
Mom been at the same place. She worked for Good Samaritan Hospital. She's been there, retired and came back as a financial. She does their book. She has an MBA. She's an MBA and all of that, and she's done that. You know, all my life. Pops, he was a hustler. You know, that's where a lot of this stuff that you know, just being straight up. You know, a lot of stuff that got me in the streets was watching my dad maneuver in the streets and everything. Because you know, he was a hustler. He ran numbers. He sold drugs. He did all of that and everything. And those were the things that I said I want to be like when I grow up. Even though I had a good mind and I had, you know, I always said I didn't have no positive male role models in my life, and that's a lie. I just chose to gravitate to what I thought was exciting. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
hard.
So you know, but even what he was doing, even when he was caught up in drugs and everything like that, I can say this: he was as nurturing as he could be at that time. You know, I can't blame none of what happened in my life. My pops wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? That might have been true, but I made the decisions that ultimately, you know, to do what I wanted to do.
So
And Love can say what's up too.
yeah, shout out to the bro. I gave hell of a shout out. Run it back. But so what about siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, well, I grew up, like I said, Pops was out there doing what he do. I grew up thinking I only had a brother, right? You know what I'm saying? And as I got older, I started finding out I had more siblings. You know, found out first about a sister over in East St. Louis. I mean, Collinsville, which is by East St. Louis. Then I found out about another brother. And then, like, when I got in the 90s, that's when it all started. I started finding out. It was like, when I hit my 20s, it was like I found out about a new brother and sister every year for like about 6 years. And what was so crazy, like one of them I grew up with, and I could tell there was something there, like, you know what I'm saying, like we were close, you know what I'm saying. But she was like, you know, my sister Shelly, you know what I'm saying, God rest her soul. You know what I'm saying, like, you know, it was crazy. I didn't really find out that, you know, we were siblings until after my teenage years, but we were always around each other. We were cool like that. We hung out, we vibed.
So how did y'all meet though?
Well, you know, because Pops wasn't that type of dude that he would try to hide what he was doing. Like, I remember he would take me over his girlfriend's houses and stuff like that. But it was never formally said, this is your sister. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I said. We would play together. We, you know, like, I mean, I've known her all my life, you know, and her brother Donald, who's my brother, Donald Dominic, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I've known them, but I didn't know that was my sister until we got older.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Was him and your mom married though?
Yeah, my mom, Pops was married to my mom's, but he had his girlfriends and his other, you know.
Yeah.
And that, you know, like I say, I could try to blame him for some of the things that I did because I ended up running around, you know, having multiple kids by multiple women, and you know what I'm saying. But you know, it wasn't him who did that. Even though that might have been an influence, I made the decisions. You know? I made the decisions. Yeah.
So what school did you go to, bro?
Colonel White.
Well, before then.
Okay.
He couldn't wait to show that feet gun pride. He couldn't wait.
I grew up. I went to coordinate. First, my first 5 years, I was going to a private school out of Spring Valley Academy. the money ran out, you know, everything like that. And I went to Cornell, and that was a culture shock for me then. You
How
know,
so?
because you know, like even though I was growing up in the neighborhood, I wasn't around. You know, because you know when you around in school years, you ain't really around your peers until after you get out of school or summertime.
Summertime for sure.
Summertime. So most of my time I was around little white kids, and you know what I'm saying. So it wasn't that I thought I was white or nothing like that. I just didn't know how deep our people were. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm being conditioned to believe a certain way, but then I come back to the neighborhood, and I'm you know what I'm saying. I'm thinking this is just something on TV and it's temporary. And I'm immersed into it full time when I came to public school.
So when you was at your private school, this is like what, fourth grade, fifth grade?
First through fourth grade.
First through fourth, and how did people treat you? It was
Man,
all
it was
good.
it was crazy. You know,
Negative or positive?
like I would be called a little nigger boy out there at school and everything like that. Then I come back into the hood, and because you know I'm light skinned and I'm talking, you know, I'm talking educated. That's how I got the nickname White Boy. I'm a little white boy and all that. So like I said,
Dang, so like you getting hit from both sides.
both
pause.
sides, right? And
They
that,
was literally calling you little nigga.
yeah, you know, there was you got some people who you know they gonna only do what they're taught.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We think that racism is something that you know what I'm saying that's you know out there. No, that stuff is taught. It's not inbred in us. It's not you know. It's not in our DNA and all of that stuff. I don't care what nobody. That is a taught hatred.
Agreed.
So when I mean, you coming from a black family, and obviously we know that nigga is like fighting words.
Right.
Nigga.
Oh,
Did you
I stay fighting.
even at the private school.
Yeah, at the private school. There's a lot of things. You like, it was a private Christian school, and like I stayed in trouble because like I've always been one who was reading as a young man. Even though we grew up in a Christian household and everything, I read about our history back then. I remember, man. Listen, I wasn't even 7 years old before I read Before the Mayflower and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So it was like I say, it was culture shocks all the way around for me.
Right.
I remember getting in trouble out there at the private school when I told people, man, I can't. My people were here before the Mayflower, and you know, and when you say some things as a kid that you're not supposed to know, and they don't know how to, you know what I'm saying, back it up, whatever.
Because they're indoctrinated.
Right. The first thing they say is you're wrong, and then you get argumentative, and now you end up being the one getting disciplined. You know, go to the office and stuff like that, and like you know. It was crazy, but you know, and then like I say, then coming back to the neighborhood after school, and when I'm playing with kids, you know, my friends that I grew up with on the same street knew who I was and knew like, okay, he's cool. But then like they friends would come around, who the little white boy and all that stuff, you know, and so I was fighting in the neighborhood too, and, you know, and like that's how come I can identify with so many of these kids that we label bad. No, they're not bad. They just don't know how to express themselves because you know I didn't know how to you know. To express myself, so the first thing was anger. You know, the anger, just let it go. You know, you got to prove that you ain't who you know, because you don't know who you are at that age. Really, you don't. And so I stayed fighting. I was labeled, and then after you know, this is why I don't like labeling children a certain way, especially negative. Because if you do that enough, they start to buy into it.
Oh,
Right.
So when I was told I was a badass kid over and over and over, I started to believe that.
Right.
And then when I started to see that, you know, the reputation I got as being a little bad kid, you know what I'm saying, kept the people that I was fearful of, the goons, the real goons, kept them off of me and kept them like, you know, embracing me. I had no choice but to try to become even worse than what I was. So, because, you know, that's where I was finding my acceptance at, you know. I mean, I'm talking about I was a kid in school when I got to Cornell and everything like that. I was a kid who, you know what I'm saying, excelled. I always stayed in honors classes and stuff like that. I remember telling people back then in fourth grade, I'm going to be the mayor of Dayton one day. I'm going to be the mayor. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, people would tell you can't do this, you can't do that. And you know, and I started believing some of this stuff instead of having people fan that flame. Like, you do whatever you want to do, you know.
So you come from the Christian school, but you're still in your neighborhood. You start going to Cornell, where was predominantly black, and then you said that you ran into a culture shock did you have any trouble kind of like fitting in with the rest of the kids there, or was it like it was natural after a while, or what?
Well, the culture shock that I ran into is like I never knew, cause see, like growing up in a middle class neighborhood, I never knew how poor a lot of our people really were.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So the culture shock was, I'm thinking that, what I'm saying, they're just normal poor like how we are, what I'm saying? We don't know how, stuff
When
like
you a
that.
kid,
He got 30 phones
Right.
up here, by the way, y'all. He
Stop
got 30
it, stop
phones.
when
Stop
you a
it.
kid though, man, and you poor, you don't know it.
You don't
just
know it.
going through
Right.
life. for real.
Until that's what I'm saying. I didn't know how poor, I didn't know it. But when I say culture shock was like when I would go home with some of my cats from walking home from school, walking over there Audubon, and I'm seeing really what's really is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I really don't have it as bad as I thought I did.
Right.
And now I was understanding, looking back, now I can see why some of those kids were as bad as they were, you know what I'm saying? Because they were in survival mode.
Right.
Say that.
Straight survival mode. They, it wasn't like they were really out there trying to do, stealing bikes just to make $5-10. It wasn't because they were trying to, have no fresh shoes on. Because back then nobody wasn't really rocking no Nikes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They was stealing and stuff like that at that age. They eat every day.
So, like, who were some of your day one friends?
Shoot, man, I always got to go back to.
There we go. I love this part.
It's so crazy. I still go, man. My core friends are still my friends, my boys. I get my hair cut by my dude Therm every
That's
day
hard.
down there. Every week downtown at Gino's Barbershop. You know what I'm saying? My best friend, Dirty. Daryl Howard. He coaches. He does a lot with athletes. You know what I'm saying? For CJ and all that. He trains a lot of kids and athletes. My dude. You know what I'm saying? Sean Lewis, he's down in Atlanta. Doug Clack, all of these cats, man. I'm talking about it was 6 of us that ran around together every day. Because we and they still my day ones. You know what I'm saying?
Hard.
Yeah.
And then like as I got older, we brought my dude Ira in our pack when we got into high school and everything. And these are still my cats that no matter what goes on, even when I was at my lowest, they still rocked with me. You know what I'm saying? So, I always love them boys for all my life, man.
So, man, I mean, I got to ask you, man, like, what's one of your most fondest childhood memories, man?
Man, listen, I had so many of them, but I'm going to tell you the truth. One of my fondest childhood memories was when I realized that it was okay to be smart.
Okay, like give us that story.
Like when I was growing up, right? It was cool. I remember running around out there on the playground when we used to get our report cards. You used to get the envelope with the big old card. And,
brown paper, and they got the GPS on the front, man.
And like we used to try to see who had the most A's and everything like that. And we would get rewarded by some of the people in the neighborhood and everything like
cash
that.
you out.
You know what I'm saying? And like when I found out that it's okay to be smart and still be yourself was one of my childhood memories. Cause like this, I'm a people person. I can navigate into any circle without being fake. I'm gonna be me.
Sure.
But then when people started talking about, hey man, you're a smart dude, you need them, and was accepting me for that made me feel a lot more comfortable where I didn't have to try to be that thug and everything all the time. By that time people know he'll fight you, but he cool, man. Leave him alone. You know what I'm saying? Let him be who he is. So that was one of my fondest memories. But I also have to say, like, man, just getting my license and driving and all that stuff, man.
For sure.
Going to the concerts at Hair Arena. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those are fun.
Legendary. The legendary Hair Arena.
Yeah. Going back, I remember going back out there when Slick Rick and Salt and Pepper and all that. I remember the first time I seen NWA was at the Hair Arena.
What?
Yeah.
I went there.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
So it's possible y'all was at the same concert. That's hard.
It's like where they did the ice skating at when NWA came. That was the one. But Roxanne, Shantae, I mean UTFO
all
came.
of it.
Fat Boys
yeah.
was at that one.
Y'all was there. That's all.
Man, I got called up on stage. I was so little though, man. Like me and my brother Dub, man, we was the first people to like get in there. So we was like pressed up against the gate right there at the stage.
Yeah.
But bro, I was only this tall. I was in the 6th grade. and they was just pushing. The whole crowd was pushing. And man, I was about to die, bro. I was like in the crowd. I couldn't even breathe no more. And thank God somebody on stage was like, hey, y'all got to quit all this damn pushing. Look at this little boy down here. They're like, come here, man. And pulled me up on stage.
What?
Real shit, bro. And I had a rap on deck.
Oh, you got a clip ready.
I had a rap on deck, bro. And I wanted to say, give me the mic so I can rap. But then I just second guessed myself and then sang. But man, the rap was... If they would have heard me say my rap, just me being so little. And like who I was, the crowd would have went crazy for that shit. Yeah. But, you know, when you got, so that just goes to show, when you got a chance, because I always had thought about that moment. Yeah. Like, bro, I wish I would have just been like, give me the mic. Because I knew my rap perfect. Like, I've been practicing my whole life for that.
Man, because back in the day, that's what we did. We wanted to,
that's hard, bro.
You know, you had to have you some lyrics on deck. You had to have, you know, even though I couldn't dance, I still was part of, you know, popping and everything.
I don't know. I don't know if y'all saw that in the book in the way, but
Hey, bro, you know what, bro? Break dancing does not get talked about.
It don't. It don't.
Man, it was like one of the best things ever.
Yeah, when Hoover used to be, you know, jumping, and they used to have, on Saturdays, they would let you come up there and they had the dance contest. You know what I'm saying? And we was doing like everybody else. You had, you know, had your little outfit on. Y'all had your same gear on. Yeah, man. I was the
breaking
one,
in Beat Street, bro, when that came out.
I was the one who couldn't dance, but the crew, the fellas still impressed me.
That's hard. That's hard, man.
With breaking, we all used to try, but it was
for sure.
Like real professionals that would be windmilling, spinning on their heads.
I still try.
I look at too old now. Knees ain't doing all that.
Yeah, so, but breaking don't get enough credit.
For sure, man, for sure. Which are still two pillars of our community that need to have a dance off, which is DJ Divine and DJ Skano gotta have a dance off. They both came on here saying that like they used to be the best. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we gotta have that happen. But you know what I'm saying? I asked you about your most fondest childhood memory. I'll be remiss not to ask you what's your worst childhood memory.
You know, now that I'm older and I look back at it, you know, I didn't see it at that time was when the crack era really started.
Okay.
You know, at that time it didn't seem like it was the worst moment in my childhood because now that I'm older and mature and seeing how things happen, I see it as the worst because I seen one it destroy, you know, our community. Also, I seen that's where I started giving up on my dreams and everything, and that because of, you know, the pursuit of money.
What was one of the first things you saw that like you can look at now with fresh eyes that you saw the direct impact of crack hitting Dayton, Ohio?
This is like '86. I was all up in there. I was that little teenage kid caught up in the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? You know, I remember, you know what I'm saying, anybody who's been out there from the beginning know that we wasn't dealing with weight, you know what I'm saying? You was getting packs, 5 packs, 10 packs. And I was that little kid, like I said, by that time I already had a reputation that he'll fight you. He's out here, you know what I'm saying? And they, you know, some of the old heads was giving me 5 packs at like 14 years old. So like I say, the first thing I could really say that I seen where it was destroying, what it was doing to our black women, man. Because I mean, like at that time, like I said, now, with the mindset that I have now, I couldn't see how destructive it was then, but I could.
Go from prom queen to top thing.
Top thing. And here it is, you know, where they're willing to, you know what I'm saying, they're willing to trade everything with a 14-year-old boy, you know what I'm saying, get a body up for me because I got a product. You see what I'm saying? So now looking back, I see how that was one of the, you know, that was one of my worst childhood memories. You know, I ain't going to talk about, you know, like, oh, yeah, the abuse of, you know, because there wasn't no real abuse in my life. You know what I'm saying? I could say that was one of the things that was my worst childhood memories.
Do you remember how you actually got introduced to the dope game?
I can remember it because, you know, like I said, I was already out. I was already off the porch, or as the youngest say, I was already outside. I was always
outside. Hashtag outside.
I was always outside. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, you know, like I said, my dad was in the hustling game and everything, so dope was in my house all the time. You know what I'm saying? I remember watching him and his crew when they were running numbers. They stayed fly with the 3-piece suits and all that. He was a music producer for a while and concert promoter. So, you know, there was always some type of drugs in the house. So, you know what I'm saying? But me personally, the way I remember getting my hands on it was, you know, I was always outside and I was doing what I was doing, chasing behind, you know what I'm saying, the older dudes. And dude just said, you want to make some money. And I was with it. And I remember, man, I remember making that money, man. And I'm talking about 14 years old, holding more money than I've ever seen before in my life. And that, you know what I'm saying? At that time, I'm thinking it's a positive thing and everything like that. But I could start seeing, I could trace that all back to how a lot of my negativities really started, you know what I'm saying? Because it was covering up for a lot of self-esteem issues that I had.
Okay.
Was you in high school at this
No,
point?
I was in middle. It was my transition going from middle school to high school.
What middle school was this?
At
for?
Kaiser.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shout out to Kaiser,
yeah.
man.
Because I remember going.
That's a training ground.
Yeah, I remember going from, you know what I'm saying.
Bro, you will keep doing that to me on every podcast when I say they from Kaiser. You gonna do that every time?
He went to college.
But
He started selling dope.
no,
So
yo, but in a way, what he's talking about, in a way, he's telling the truth. Because going to Kaiser at that time, if you didn't make that bus. If you didn't make that last bus and you had to catch the RTA, you had to deal with them white kids. Or I mean, not the white kids, the adults that used to try to be.
Oh,
so
God.
Right.
Yeah,
So
true.
that's how I got cool with a lot of my homies from Parkside. Because, you know, instead of me being out there taking a risk of getting jumped on by these grown people, I would walk over to Parkside and then catch a bus home.
yeah.
You know. But I remember going from the 8th grade to 9th grade, that whole summer my life changed where, you know what I'm saying, I went from being, you know, the kid with the hand-me-down clothes, wearing my brother's clothes, to getting some money and coming back with this, you know what I'm saying, vacant esteem, but the money is telling me that I'm all right, you know what I'm saying? And the same people that was talking mess about me and everything, I'm like, yeah, now I'm up, you know, and like I shout out
You had an
to,
older brother?
yeah, I have an older brother, you know.
What was he hustling too?
Not at the time. He, you know, like I remember, and he gonna laugh his butt off because, you know, I remember him always cussing me out and everything like that about, you know, because I was at this time I was wild, you know, I was out there, and he was a bookworm reading his books and all that. He used to cuss me out about you messing your life up and all that.
Much older than
Yeah,
you?
he's 5 years older than me.
Wow, okay.
And then
So
when
he had graduated. by
right,
this
by,
point.
and then when he came home from college his first year, everything that he was talking mess about me doing, he was doing that.
Wow.
Because I was smoking weed by that time. You know, and this is look. This is why I say I can
Yeah.
identify
We're
with
not
a lot of the
glorifying
kids. You know, with what these little kids that they deem back. I was smoking weed since 4th grade. Me and my dude Thurm was talking about that then. We were drinking. You know, we was wilding. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say the older cats who had the work, they was like, he already out here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And,
Right.
and it was just, my life changed from that point on. And, you know, like, and as the progression went on, and I started seeing my cats going in and out of jail, and I wasn't catching any cases. I didn't catch my first drug case until 97.
Walk us through that process of you catching that.
Okay. So, you know, like I say, back in the 80s, things are going good. Boom, boom, boom,
Well,
making
he
money.
got to his high school yet, though. Pete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, so you started getting into high school. You was hustling.
I was hustling.
High school USC dub now. So down
You know,
C-Dub, shout
and what's
out.
crazy, because like my freshman year, I got in trouble because I was, you know, hustling and everything like that. And, you know, I'm trying to hide it from moms, but I get in trouble. And so she sent me to go live with my grandparents in Florida, down by South Florida of all places. So I go down there with this date mentality, and they already, I'm talking about them cats down there getting it. You know what I mean? My cousins and all of them, you know what I'm saying? They getting it. So I learned a lot more of the game down there. And when I came back up here,
And on
you know what I'm saying? It's like, boom, now my mindset is really there on let's get this.
Yeah.
And I remember by the time I was, because I left high school at 17 and went to the service, because I remember my brother got raided. He got caught with, you know, a couple bricks back then, you know what I'm saying, and a whole bunch of guns. And then, you know, because the way we was moving, I thought they were coming to get me next. I already had a kid at that time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had my first son at 16.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? So I thought they would come to get me, so I went and joined the service. You know what I'm saying? I did like a lot of black men do, you know what I'm saying? We run, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And the service seemed safe. And I came back from the service and got right back into doing what I was doing. It's so crazy. I was put out the Army before my class graduated. I remember being at my high school graduation, sitting in the crowd, watching my peers march across the stage, man.
You already
was already discharged.
Already discharged.
What'd you get discharged for?
Being a fool, man. I got into a fight with a non-commissioned and a commissioned officer because, you know, like, I'm a Gulf War vet. So like I got in trouble in state for underage drinking, messing around, doing what we do, you know what I'm saying? And they waited till I got over into Saudi Arabia to court martial me for all this stuff. So I'm doing hard labor over there and everything. And
You locked up in Saudi
well,
Arabia in the
you
army.
couldn't lock us up because we're in the big old desert. So they had me doing hard labor. When they talk about on those movies where they taking the sledgehammer, making big rocks into little rocks, that's what they had me doing.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? They had me doing that. It's hot over there. And the dude that was the sergeant that was that day that was over me and him had already had problems in the state. He was, man, we got into it, and I ended up getting into a fight with him, man. You know what I'm saying? And what I didn't realize is when I got in a fight with him, I had one person who watched everything. He was one, my saving grace. It was my first sergeant. Because they were trying to lock me up when I got back to state, send me to Leavenworth for first I put my hands on a non-commissioned officer, and then when the lieutenant came, I put my hands on him. You know what I'm saying? But the first sergeant seen everything, and when I got court-martialed that second time, he was my witness. And I remember him telling me too, he said, Wes, they're giving you this deal where you can stay in for the rest of your time, but they reduced me all the way to E1. That means the bottom.
Right.
And I had like 2.5 more years. And he said, you can stay in and I'll keep you as my driver and we'll get you, you know, all this stuff, you know, taken care of and you'll get your rank back later. I said, man, I ain't with that. Send me back home. At least I know who my enemies are. You know? And I was, like I said, I went in at 17. I was home. I came home before my 19th birthday, and I watched my class graduate. You know, Colonel White's graduation that year was down at the convention center.
They allowed you to join the military
At 17.
before you would even graduated from high school?
GED. They still would take you in now with a GED and in 17 if you have a parent consent.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember having to convince my mom into doing that stuff, you know, and you know, at that time, I'm going to tell you it was the best thing to happen because I was, you know, like I say, I was out here wild, you know, and I look back at that time, man, a lot of my cats that were out there, you know, a lot of them ain't here no more.
You know what's cool though, bro? Like, no matter how wild you say that you are, and I believe what
For
you're
sure,
saying,
1000%.
but you still got
This polish.
this maturity, this polish, and this idea of, you know what I'm saying, what's better. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you don't see too many people that's in the streets say, man, hold on, let me go join the military man, to get myself together, man. Even as in, like, somebody, even if they feel like they on a run, they might try to run to a different state or something like that. They don't got the polish and the maturity to actually join the military.
And you know, and I have to give a shout out to my family, man, because, you know, like, as things went on, and you know, and we'll get to that later on, that's why I got to the point, like, what am I doing? I come from good cloth. You know what I mean? I come from good cloth. You know what I'm saying? So why am I out here doing it? And, you know, that's when I really started doing the inner journey.
So I want to ask you. So, like, how was it received when you came back? Like, what was mom and pop saying to you when you came back?
Well, pops was doing pops. You know, at that time, you know, he wasn't dressing in the 3-piece suits no more. He was, you know, he was smoking. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was in the bags. You know, all the cats back then, you know, he was over on the boulevard. He had one of the first houses where people could come smoke at. You know what I'm saying?
So the contrast of when you left and when you came back. Let's talk about the transition for you.
The streets was different when I came back. Put it like that. So when I came home, I was that dude who said, I'm coming home. I'm not getting back in the streets. I got some money put up when I came home and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I remember I was on a religious zeal at this time, man. I was running around with the Bible trying to beat you across the head. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still hanging with the homies, though.
For sure.
And then some things happened, you know, like the little bit of money I had put up and everything like that. When I got home, I remember saying, staying at mom's house, sleeping on the couch, and I remember about 3-4 weeks, I said, okay, mom, it's time for me to get my own thing. I'm ready for you to get my money, you know what I'm saying? And we had that talk, you know, wasn't no money no more. And, you know, thank God for the awareness of having to go inside and do some stuff. Because I didn't realize at that time I took on a whole resentment, not with just my mom, but females, period. Yeah. Because, you know what I'm saying? I will always hear my homies talk about my mom is my best friend. She do this. And my attitude was like, you know, and you know, fuck her. She'll rob me, any woman would. And I didn't realize. I was saying that she robbed me, but what it was like she was taking care of my kid and stuff like that. She was taking care of what she had to do and everything like that. So I had a lot of resentments with her about how you gonna take my money and all that stuff. Eventually, she paid it back over years and stuff like that. But I still couldn't get past the mental part about really what it was the emotional hurt,
Right.
the stress that y'all was talking about, the trauma,
Right.
because that's traumatic. Thinking you got some money, you got to come home, and now you back dependent on sleeping on your mom's couch, and you think so. I got back into the game.
But also obviously your vision of your dad in contrast when you left and when you came back.
He was already smoking before I left.
Okay.
Yeah, he was already, man. He was caught up, But that was still what's so crazy was, no matter how bad my dad was doing, that was still my role model. I couldn't see. I knew he was doing bad, but I could not see him as a bad person.
Did your dad know that you was actually selling?
Yeah,
dope at this
he
time?
he could show me how to cook the dope. You know what I'm saying? My dad showed me a lot of the things that I knew in the streets. I learned from him
Directly.
You know what I'm saying? I learned from him. He told me how to beat people when you cooking it. You cook it in this type of jar. It's gonna stick to this. You scrape it off after they gone. You talk about it must have been bad dope because it didn't know. I'm talking about just crazy. So my dad showed me a lot of the street. He showed me how to hold myself in there, but there was also like that maturity of how to carry myself.
Yeah.
That's why I say even to this day, man, that's my dude. He's been clean for since 91. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Well, put it like this, he ain't smoked no crack since 91. He stopped drinking about 14 years ago. And that's my dude. You know what I'm saying? But I could never see even at his worst, I could not see no wrong in him. But when I came home, he was still caught up. But he was only in Dayton for a couple more months, and he moved back to Florida in 91. And that's when he started on his role again, his life back together.
Okay. Yeah. So what roles led to you getting caught back up again, man?
Like I said, I thought I had this money, wasn't no money. I knew how to get money. You know what I'm saying? I went back out to the streets, started doing what I was doing, and listen. Anybody who ever been in situations where you come home, and I'm not addressing a lot of stuff. I'm a Gulf War vet. I just went through the trauma of being in combat. I got all this stuff going on, and all of this stuff was building up. So now I got all this unaddressed trauma going on, and now I'm getting back in the streets, and it just took me somewhere.
Bro, when you was in the service and you was in Afghanistan or
No,
you was
Gulf
in
War.
Saudi?
We were in Saudi Arabia, the first
Did
Gulf
you get
War.
in any firefights?
Yeah, well, I was in the artillery unit, so we were shooting constantly.
Yeah.
We were shooting down range constantly, and then we had to drive through the zones that we dropped those rounds in, and seeing those dead bodies, smelling. We was just smelling the smell. Sometimes it just it's crazy. And then like I said, I came home and I did no therapy or debriefing on that stuff.
Right.
So now I'm in the streets, and the alcohol's taking over with all this stuff because that was my way of medicating. And I was out there just wilding now, wilding, getting money, wilding, having fun, doing all this stuff to try to cover up this hurt and this pain that's inside of me. And that's why I say, even those ones that, my five that always ran with me at the end before I got myself together, stopped using, stopped drinking and everything. They messed with me, but they wasn't messing with me. They like, if we going out to drink, we know we got to cut this dude off at a certain time. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll be that dude who start off at the beginning of the night, I'm buying drinks for everybody. We having fun by the end of the night. I'm disrespectful. I'm in your face. I'm trying to mess with your bride, all that stuff. Why you sitting there? Just, because what I didn't realize, looking back now, I was on a suicide mission. Because there was so much unaddressed, so much unaddressed trauma and so much self-loathing because of all the stuff that I thought I was dealt a bad hand and it really wasn't,
What's one of the worst stories you heard about yourself while you was drinking?
Man. I remember when the Big E was open, I remember this is one of my most embarrassing for me. They wouldn't serve me no more. And I talked my best friend, You know what I'm saying? I'm hanging out with him, and Dirty, my dude, and he, I talked to him, and you know what I'm saying, hanging out with me that night. They threw me out because they wouldn't serve me no more. I had my daughter, my middle daughter's mother come get me. Went back to the house, got my pistol. I'm talking about all because they won't serve me. I want to go now. I'm ready to shoot up the bar. You know what I'm saying? Those, and then there's the blackout stories that I hear later, like, man, you tore up your car and stuff like that. So, man, there's a lot of that craziness, and I know a lot of the homies out there in the streets probably got way more stories that that I probably don't even remember. Yeah,
Sure.
but I got tired of waking up down in the county jail with my head on that little on the toilet paper and everything. Like,
Man, say that.
How did I get here again? You
Say
know what
that.
I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Man, so speaking of jail stints, I mean, like what your biggest case that you call like the very first one?
The first case I caught was I was drunk on some nonsense. I thought I was out doing my thing all day. I didn't think I had no more work on me. I went to go get some. That's when the BP was on Salem and Catawba.
Yeah.
And I was going home, leaving the bootleg joint. Wanted another 12-pack to go home and chill with. They wouldn't serve me because I was drunk. I got in an
At
argument.
the gas station, they knew you was drunk.
Yeah, and I'm arguing with her. She called the police. I had the phone too. I was like, you ain't got to call. I called the police too. On some drunk stuff. I don't think I got no more work on me, but I still got some dope in my pocket. So, like, they allowed my wife to take her, they like, oh, we're going to take her for public intox. They allowed my wife, I said, can she take my possessions out? So when she came out my pocket with her hands like this with all the money in both pockets and everything, because, I've been out still hustling. I'm like, okay, I'm good. So she done took everything, got down to the county, and they found, like, I think it was like 2.4 grams or something on me, and I remember that, that was my first drug case in 97. And that's what led me to the trade that I'm in, getting me into the union. Because at the time, John Paul Ryan was his first case. I was his first case.
The legendary John Paul Ryan.
The daddy, he was already a legend. So now John Paul, he just came out of college. I was his first case.
They came visiting me, man, when I was locked up.
And they told me, like, look, if you go ahead and, get you a job, blah, 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 we'll get you probation, my name is attached to, at that time, you would get more time for crack than you were, powder.
Like accelerated charges.
Yeah, my name is attached to the case. Me and a couple other people that when they sued the state of Ohio to make it, crack and powder the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And I remember getting the probation because I got in the trade that I'm in, and my homie got me in there. You know what I'm saying? God rest his soul, Kevin Young, man. He got me into the trade, and it was like, it was just that was the universe's way of saving me, even though I wasn't ready to be saved yet. You know what I mean? But that was my first case. Was when they found the dope. They didn't find it on me till I got downtown.
That's
And
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
So they got that right there on the wall. They say, you got anything on you right now, you better give it up because you want to walk in here.
And I'm drunk. I'm talking shit. I'm talking, Tony Montana. Oh, I'll be out before you get off your shift, man. You know what I'm saying? I got money, you know what I'm saying? And they pulled that out and they hit me with, like, at that time, I think my bond was like 20 grand or something. We bonded out though.
Hey, that's a flex, y'all. That's a flex.
We bonded out. Because I remember coming to court Monday, and they thinking I'm supposed to be coming from, the jail part, and I'm sitting in the class. I'm sitting in the courtroom. They're like, "Where the client at?" And I'm like, "I'm here, John Paul," like, because he don't really know who I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So boom, they gave me, non guilty.
Not guilty at the arraignment, and you come back, and then eventually they work out
and
the deal.
I ended up getting 5 years probation for that because I ended up getting in the trade and all of that stuff. But I wasn't done. You know what I'm saying? I was still running around. Man, I was on that. Catch me when you can. You know what I'm saying? I bucked probation. I was on probation, but bucked probation. And then in '99 they caught me because I should have got a DUI. I was drunk on them Zanes, wrecked my car in front of the Kroger's right there on Gettysburg.
I'll stop you real quick. Like, what got you into taking pills?
Like I say, now that I look back, it was all that. Yeah, and especially back then. Back then, my homies, everybody I was running with, we was popping
Valiums,
Zanes and stuff like
that's the only. I mean, that's regular spot activity.
You know,
you gonna do that.
Yeah, and like.
Does it keep you up or is it down?
Nah,
I don't know.
It just make you just wild out.
Yeah,
I mean, I would say that it's probably more depressing because you'll fall asleep off of them. It ain't no upper, but it's like you just feel like empowered.
You're gonna do whatever.
Yeah. You know, you do it. You don't just take a pill, like you do it while drinking, while you smoking, but normally you just be drunk off of a few bars and Zanes.
And you're doing whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Just whatever come to your mind, you just don't think it's okay to do.
And when I had the accident, they could have, I had my two. By that time, I had 2 kids.
Was it a bad accident?
Yeah, man. I couldn't, man. Put it like this. The child of my mother, my 3rd child, Havana. You know what I'm saying? Her mom still got the scar on her forehead from where she hit the windshield. I'm talking about the car was total, where I'm trying to start it up and, take off. I'm about to buck. I'm about to take, okay. I done totaled the car. You know what I'm saying? And I remember the cop came. He was like, man, I could give you a DUI, but you already going to jail because you got, a warrant, for not showing up for probation. I've been on the run for like 3 years, And he was like, man, I ain't even going to do it to you. I'm talking about my 2 youngest kids. I mean, my 2 oldest kids are in the back seat. They, all that. It was some of that stuff, man. I traumatized my kids. I really did, And I remember, look, they told me, I was on them pills and everything. I don't remember waking up. This was like on a Tuesday. I don't remember waking up in the county until like about Friday. And like my dude Rick that was in the cell with me, because I was in the fishbowl. You know what I'm saying? If anybody been down there, the fishbowl. He was like, man, I'm glad you found it because you've been clowning. They come try to do the armband. You know what I'm saying? I'm
I wake up every day to
I'm
make
like,
you
man, leave me alone. And so like when I finally come out of my blackout stage, it was like 2 days later. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, my dude was like, I'm glad you. Because you was in here wilding, Yeah, it was crazy. That's why I thank God that, I found a way out of all of that stuff, and it was really by doing some self-examination, like, why am I doing this? Had to get to a point, and that didn't happen until after my last drug case in 2008.
Walk us through that one.
Yeah, But
this is the one where you did some time.
Yeah. This is when I went and laid it down for 2 years, and I was lucky to just get the 2 years. Because by that time I've been back, I done gone through my little stage where I was snorting for a while. I done stopped snorting and back getting money. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't think I had a problem with the powder because I was still getting money and all that stuff. I'm hitting the interstate, doing all this stuff, doing what we thought we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like 2008, we come back from Cali, handling business and everything, and I ain't endorsing it. So the youngest don't think this is a cool thing to do.
Not at all.
But we shooting our work through the mail and everything, and that's how I got knocked. Was like the package came, and I was paying this little cat. I was paying him $500 a box and plus giving him like a half ounce of powder to go get the boxes. One box didn't show up where it was supposed to. We get a phone call. Say, hey, man, your box is here. Come get it. I told dude, I said, look, when we go down here, if it don't look right, just keep walking. I'll pick you up. I'll still give you your money. Dude walked straight to the person. And I'm like, oh, God. So I'm over there in my van, like, don't walk over there to it. Because I see it was mad. So he gets knocked. He tells the police. He points into the van. They rush you, I'm talking about, I'm at the post office of all places, too.
Mm-hmm.
So now they pop out of everywhere, pull me out. And, like, boom. We got arrested at 2 o'clock. When I finally get my discovery package, he done wrote a 3-page statement at 2:33. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. But, like, I got, we got caught with half a brick. And, like,
wait. Time out.
He in the car writing this.
He did it before ChatGPT even existed, boy. Nobody can write nothing that bad.
I'm like,
Chatty Patty GTP.
I'm like, damn. So like I get my discovery package, I see what time but like I remember reading it too, man. Because like we had got a couple more boxes that day that came through. This was the only one that didn't cut. If they had caught us with those other boxes, I would have really been hit. And I remember in his statement, he said, you know, we wasn't, you know, I wasn't no Nina, but we were still moving like 2 bricks a week, you know what I'm saying, in pieces. I was grinding. I wasn't selling no weight to nobody. I was getting them in the trap houses. You know, I knew how to make 84 out of a brick. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I stayed low key. You know what I'm saying? We stay low key. I had a car wash at the time. You know what I'm saying? Doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still in the trades, working every day, doing concrete. But people who were in the streets know who knew. Who knew. And I remember him saying, if I could remember where the house was where we took the other boxes, I'd take you there. I'm like reading this, like, damn, man, we ain't no Jay Shepherds or nobody, but we doing enough, man, where we all right. You know what I'm saying? You about to bring down a small little organization over where all you got to do is just keep your mouth quiet and we all going home.
Right.
But you're like, I look back at it now, it was a way to get me to the point of where I'm at now. Because like I said, that case happened in 2008. They gave him 5 years probation for snitching. They offered me the same thing. I told him I wouldn't do it because, you know, we grew up in that era, man. You know, you get caught, you do your time.
Yeah.
They gave me a 2 year, they said, you know what I'm saying, they gave me 2 years, no good time and all that stuff. And that started my journey on getting into the spirituality. You're getting me like looking at like, man, what am I doing? What am I really doing? You know, because while I was sitting in prison, you know what I'm saying, I started going to school. I was working, you know, but before I even got to that point, I was in the joint because I was the first time low status. I was in the Browns, so I was working outside the gate, and I'm doing the same thing that got me in there, smuggling. I'm smuggling cigarettes. I'm smuggling tobacco in. I'm smuggling contraband because I'm outside the gate, and they just took tobacco out of the joint while I was there. So I'm making more money than the dope man in the joint because everybody smokes cigarettes.
Right.
At that time, man, in 2009, you know what I'm saying?
Laura come borrow some cigarettes from me.
Man, and back then, those dollar pouches of Bugle, when they took tobacco out, the first few months, we was getting $500 a pouch for that shit.
Damn.
So I bought a Park Avenue from the joint. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, but like I look back at it, I'm in there, I'm doing all the right things because like what I come to find out, I'm one of those good institutional. I'm going total line. I'm going to do what you say where I need to be in there. I got involved. You know, I was going to school. I was doing the recovery thing. I'm talking all the good stuff, but I'm still smuggling stuff in. So the same thing that got me in prison, I'm doing.
Right.
So I ain't really working on nothing. The mindset is still messed up. And then it was like some things happened. And I started sitting on my back, reading. You know, because I'm like, okay, this is where I went on my spiritual journey. I'm like, I want to know what's true religion, how's the oldest religion in life. And you know what I'm saying? That's when I started reading different philosophies and different religions. And that's when I started to come to the conclusion that works for me, that, you know what I'm saying, look, all of this stuff is, you know, it leads us back to one creator, no matter what path you take. You know what I'm saying? It leads us back to one creator, but this is the path that works for me. But then you don't knock nobody else for their path now. And that's when I came up with the concept with Felons with a Future, because, you know, most of the cats that are in the streets that I was running around, we were already businessmen. We were entrepreneurs and didn't realize
For sure.
Yeah.
If you selling dope, you are running a corporation. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're 1.5 dude or you messing with bricks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't realize that you're dealing with inventory. You're dealing with, you know, how do you market stuff? How do you do all of that? Because you're working in a flooded market. So how do you make and you all got the same product. So how do you make it where that, you know what I'm saying, you're selling more than anybody else?
Right.
And that's where I came up with the concept that maybe if we teach people how to become entrepreneurs when they come home, they won't go back to the life of crime. And like that was the original thing, just to show them how to do business plans and stuff like that. But then something started coming, you know, kicking into me like, look at what you're doing. Because I came home and I got right back to the game. Even though with all this knowledge of how to set up a business, because I came home and I got back to the game, but now, you know what I'm saying, we got the car washes, we got the houses, we're doing that stuff, but I still got the same mindset. So when the doors got kicked in January 3rd, I wasn't even home 9 months, you know what I'm saying?
Damn.
And so, like, that's when it started making, you know what I'm saying, sense to me, like, look, you're setting yourself up for failure, even if you know how to, run a business, if you ain't changed the mindset.
Yeah.
So that's where the, the concept of, taking Felons for a future, because I knew the name that I wanted to call my organization back then, Felons with a Future. You know what I'm saying? And even though I conceived it in between 2008 and 2010 when I was there, I didn't put it into action. You know what I'm saying? I didn't organize it and file the names and get my 501c3 until 2020. We've only been up and running for 3 years, and we're doing what we're doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And most of what we've been doing has really been off of, grassroots money, my pockets, and some other people might donate from there. We finally got our first grant. It's not been any grant money coming in. We've been helping the community, you know what I'm saying, really out of the love, man, the sweat equity.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm a firm believer in. Sweat equity makes more sense than any kind of money that you can throw at it, at that situation. Because if I come and work for you, I feel more empowered when I can see what I've done. When I've taken a product like these shirts, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to the T-shirt King for, our first event that we're having tomorrow, you know what I'm saying, down at Dayton Dragons, But yeah, I feel more empowered where I could take a piece of material and see the finished product. Mm-hmm. Now I take pride in what I'm doing.
So boy.
And so when I start seeing that, and I feel empowered to do that, I felt like, okay, if I teach other people how to do that, they'll take pride in what they're doing.
For sure.
But well, the main things that we looked at, like when we developed our curriculum, and shout out to Brandon Jones up in Minnesota, because he gave me his curriculum, and we put our own little switch on it. And then my dude Michael Johnson in Detroit, you know what I'm saying? These guys, these are licensed therapists, been doing this stuff for years.
Yeah.
And they gave me this curriculum, and we tweaked it to work for, for people coming home, to deal with the traumas. Because we deal with 4 different levels of trauma while we teach you how to formulate a business marketing plan, hook you up with a business mentor and all of that stuff. And one of the things that I added, like we, if you come through the class and you're showing yourself serious, we're going to pay for a year or two, with Network and Chill, so you can start learning how to network. And, because one of the bad things that we try to do in our own community is we try to do it alone instead of partnering with each other.
Yeah.
So, we deal with the 4 traumas, the trauma that, the original trauma, like I said, I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to start selling crack. There was some things that were going on in the house, you know what I'm saying? Like mom was working her butt off, but, there was still days that I was scared to come home and that pink note would be on the door where, the lights is out. Yeah. Or I remember growing up where we used to have to keep the stove open to stay warm in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what I'm saying? So, those are the initial traumas that send people to the streets. And then what about the trauma you go through while you're in the streets? You know what I'm saying? Even if you ain't involved with a lot of shootouts or whatever, it's traumatic. Every time you see a police car and you got a pack in your hand and everything like that, are they coming to get you? And that stuff.
Even when you don't, man. Right. I mean, you can be driving, they just behind you. Just come in and act to be like, man, let me straighten up or something. Like,
right. And those are some, those are the traumas where we deal with, what you went through in the streets. Then the trauma you go through while you're incarcerated. Am I going to come home? Please, God, don't let my mom die while I'm in here. All of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Then when you come home and you know that you want to get your life together and you're getting doors slammed in your face, that's traumatic too. So we deal with those 4 levels of trauma to help people, get on the right path so that when they do start a business, their mind is right.
For sure.
Because like I said, I'm doing you a disservice if I teach you how to do a business, and that's easy. That's the easy part. It's showing you how to formulate a business plan, marketing plan, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The hard part is like, how do you deal with, I got the perfect business plan. I got it, and I need some funding. I go sit down with Mr. Banker, and Mr. Banker says, look at it and say, oh, this looks good, Mr. West, but we can't help you.
Like you always said, like, you teach them to be able to hear that no, and accept that no,
accept it, and then don't give up when you hear it.
Right.
Because you're going to hear a lot of no's.
1,000 no's is what Jason's book gonna be called. What it's called, 1,000 no's.
Yeah, and little nephew was the last spot I was at. We had the studio because like I was, at that time I was like had the studio in the basement and all that. By that time my homies was calling me. They was calling me Russell Knight. You know what I'm saying?
Look
They was
like
they
Russell
think
Simmons
you-
and
you-
Suge Knight.
Ah, Bobo.
They
That's
was like,
hard.
they was like, he got the mindset of Russell. He got the business mind. But the boy a fool. You don't want to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? he don't get the light skin twisted.
Right, for sure. So, like, what interests you in running for, what was it, county?
County commissioner.
Yeah.
You know what really did it was like the more I started doing work on myself and started going in the community, one thing that I started getting real upset about, and I said I'm not going to do it. I was doing it for a while, is I see everybody on Facebook complaining about what the problem is.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to say, okay, if this is the problem, let's be part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And like what really started it was like the building trades. You know, like I said, I've been in the union. The position that I have now as a business representative for my local. At the time the union was like let me tell her I got a call her.
One of the 30 phones you got sitting
Yeah,
up here. Y'all
yeah,
want y'all to
yeah,
know,
yeah.
man.
That's a contract. I'll get with it later though. You know, we got tired of we've been trying to get a project labor agreement with the city and the county for years. Well, people who don't know what a project labor agreement is if you're union, that means that even a non-union company can still, you know, come and get the job, but you have to pay your employers the union wages and benefits.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll pay you guys, you know, people who go out there and they say, oh, I'm getting paid prevailing wage, which is cool. They might give you the whole $40 on a check, but by the time they get finished deducting your medical, you know what I'm saying, your medical, your 401k, that 40 is broken down less than what you would be making if you were, you know, in the union. And so, like the union, you know, we got a base rate, which right now, you know, for concrete is like at $28. You know what I'm
ain't
saying?
bad,
You know,
yo.
and for a first year apprentice walking in off the street, they're making $20. Don't know nothing.
Mm.
Plus your whole benefits.
Young Kings.
That does not come out of that, you know, your base rate. Only thing that comes out of your base rate is, you know, your taxes, child support, and stuff like that. Everything else is, you know, the contractor has to contribute. So project labor agreement says that, okay, Peanut, you can come get this job, but you got to pay everybody the union scale and benefits. So now it's giving a person a chance to better themselves because, you know, like I got insurance now that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 401k and a pension.
Right.
I got all of that stuff going on, and you know what I'm saying. So we've been trying to get this PLA with them for years, and like the building trade said, well, look, we'll put our own candidate in there instead of keep endorsing them if they ain't going to work with us.
You're the first person who phone ring more than I have on this podcast. Will let you know that his phone.
That's the money call, really. But I can wait. It would have been a time I would have been like, let me go, man.
Yeah.
But you know,
The road that led to you running for a seat.
and so they said, let's go ahead. We'll endorse our own candidate before we keep on messing with you guys.
That's all.
So basically, I got in a race to try to get the county to see that we ain't playing with them.
Mm-hmm.
So after the county said they would do a one-time PLA with it, the building trades stepped away from it. They said, not like totally like we ain't messing with you. They said, look, we got this, but it's up to you if you want to come out of it, you know what I'm saying, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying. But by that time I had the community behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And we were starting to make some headway with some of the things, more than just what the union wanted, you know, like the food desert. You know, that was starting to become a real conversation at the county level.
Shout out to Jim
You know what I'm
King
saying?
Market.
I mean, it's all of that stuff, you know. So now the community was behind me, and this is a primary, and I was running against Debbie Lieberman, you know what I'm saying, who's ended up becoming a good ally of mine now, you know what I'm saying? She helped make sure that this event went down, you know what I'm saying? She had never been challenged in a primary before.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first person to do that.
She went on, what's it called? Unopposed.
All the time in primaries. And so, like, you know, by that time, the community was behind me, and I wasn't going to just say, okay, we got this thing that we wanted with the building trades, and now I'm going to stop because, you know what I'm saying, I was giving some people hope. When I ran, man, some of my homies, man, who ain't never voted before, went registered. You see what I'm saying? You talk about cats who've been out on the block for years. I ain't never thought. A lot of people didn't think that you could vote in Ohio having a felony.
Right.
And that's a misnomer here. Ohio, you can vote with a felony even while you in the county jail. The only time you can't vote is while you're
Yeah,
incarcerated.
in prison, yeah.
Once you come home from the penitentiary, you got your voting rights back. You got all of that stuff. But like I had a lot of my homies go out and register to vote and voted for me. And for a no-name candidate with my background to get almost 20% of the vote.
That's hard,
You see
bro.
what I'm saying? I mean, coming out of
They
nowhere.
had to look for you at that point now
Yeah.
because you got the wave.
And and so and like right now I'm undecided. Will I run again for a while because I got so much things that I'm doing in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to tie my hands because, like, one thing about politics is if you get in a certain position, you can't do all the things that you've been doing before.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So sometimes it might be better for me to, like I said, when I was a kid, I said I was going to be the mayor of Dayton one day.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a realistic goal for me. It's
Absolutely.
more realistic now
Than it ever
has been.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? But right
No
now,
disrespect.
right?
I'm just saying honest
but,
truth.
But right now, it might not even be a good thing for me to, think about pursuing it until I get finished doing some more of the work that I'm doing.
For sure.
Because there's a lot of work
They
we're
got
doing.
term limits on
Not
the mayor.
Not on the mayor. Not. Only thing we have term limits in Ohio with is at the state legislature. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can term out after I think it's four terms and stuff like that. And
So
as
you
a
can be the
city,
mayor for 20 years of your city.
Joseph been down there forever as a commissioner. So there's no term limits. The only time we have term limits is at the state house. For the Ohio State Senate and also representatives. That's how come a lot of them trade seats after they term out. Then they'll run for the state senate. After they term out there, then they go do something else. And that's another thing I didn't want to get into politics for is, for it to be a stepping stone for a next thing. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it for the people. And like, my mentor, my political mentor, shout out to my mayor, Ryan McGlynn. She always says, the reason why she likes messing with me is because I'm 100% unapologetically black. One of the things that I always ask, and they know it, how is this going to affect our community?
Yeah.
And I mean, seriously, that's my goal is how can we improve our community? And the biggest way I see it is learning how to empower ourselves to improve it. If we keep waiting on downtown to fix something that, look, the system is not broken. It's running the way it's supposed to. Our job is to disrupt the system as much as possible. What I mean by that is, poor people, black people, brown people, however you want to look at it, the system is to keep us in a certain place. Our job is to, disrupt it so that we can get out of that mindset and also empower ourselves to become greater than what they want us to be. Own our own businesses again, own our own properties, you know what I'm saying, and thrive.
I was at Ms. Brahms exhibit, Karen Brahms exhibit, man. She's like one of the smartest people I know. And they got this thing called walking the nickel. Have you guys ever heard of that term before?
Where?
Nah.
Walking the nickel. So
Walking what?
walking the nickel. So nickel, like 5 cents,
okay.
right? And the term came from all of the flourishing black business that was on 5th Street. And it was called walking the nickel because you could walk through there. It was all black business flourishing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, it's dope because it's like we don't have that in our own recent history, and it's something that's rich in our history as well. But the Downtown Browns is closest I could think of. Downtown Browns. But like walking the nickel, it was 20 plus businesses down there.
We had a theater. We had everything down there. We had Swats Club. We had, where you can go down. This is in my era, remember, but I hear the old heads talk about, we had the theaters. We had our own pharmacies. We had everything down there on 5th Street. We had it. And what did they do? By the time we grew up, 5th Street was known as the dope spot.
Exactly. Like a bomb hit it.
Yeah.
So I want to.
Now,
Go ahead.
that, though?
Well,
I mean, it could be legislation that could have played a big part. I have no answer for you, but there's a lot of things that could have done that.
Man, one thing that I think that we definitely need to do is look in the mirror
I agree.
with a lot.
I agree.
You feel me?
I
'Cause,
agree.
Like,
Accountability is important, but all at the same time, while we're taking accountability, we don't look at at the people who have the power to cause a lot of this stuff. Now, we can stay in that mindset like, oh, the white man did this to us and never do nothing to help ourselves,
Right.
or we can look at it like, redlining was real, them dumping dope in our neighborhoods was real. Now that's real, but now do we sit on a pity pot and keep on using that for an excuse for us not to advance?
but even with them dumping dope in the neighborhood, though, like, you have to be a willing participant in using the drugs that they put in your community. And that's just a fact. And until we understand, like, man, we got the power in our own hands, bro. Like, asking somebody for something, yes, they can possibly help you. But if they don't, it's not an excuse for you not to go get it on your own. And you almost, if you do enough on your own, the help will come to you. So I just want people to just understand this. Like, anything that happens to you is normally you play a huge role in it. You know what I'm saying? Like 5th Street being destroyed. Now, if they didn't go and burn it down like they did Little Africa, Black Wall Street, and we went down there and we started prostituting our women and putting them on 5th Street and becoming more and more drug dependent and trying to escape reality or whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. Like, understand, like, yeah, bro, we fucked up 5th Street. And we didn't hold on to the shit that we had, and we either sold it or let it fold or didn't cultivate it enough in order for it to keep going. And that way, when we look at the history, we looking at it correct, so we don't keep repeating those same mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And that's not saying, like, when I give these speeches and these rants and shit, like, this is not saying that I don't constantly fuck up. Like, man, my business itself could be much better than what it is. If I made better decisions with a lot of stuff that I do enough to keep it going, but people don't know the inner workings of my business.
Right. And most
people don't know, like, how much money I got right now, as far as that. You might look at me and say, man, I got a couple of mil, and the truth could be like, man, I don't got shit, I'm in debt.
Right.
So you don't, but my point in saying all of these things is to say, like, whose fault is it? I'm holding my own self to these same standards that I'm putting out there for, not for you. It's for the young king that's watching this program to understand, like, man, look, white people, drugs, white supremacy, whatever it might be, bro, make them do it to you. Make them cheat you out of something that you done got before you start saying, I'm not going to even try.
A lot of what you say I agree with. A lot of stuff I agree with. The self-accountability is real important, but the way that we're going to have to get to that is, first of all, we have to break through all of the stuff that, that's why I say at the beginning of the podcast, the biggest thing that I think is wrong with our community is the miscommunication, the misinformation that we get.
Yeah,
right.
If I'm running off of bad information, I'm going to keep doing bad things.
Agreed.
Right.
So, like, the accountability, it's hard for me to take accountability when I can't get past, the traumas that got me here. One of the things that and this is no knock to anybody who's out there in the community who is trying to, help grow up, one of the things that we have a problem across the nation, not just in Dayton with some of our black leaders, are we're trying to heal a community when we haven't even started working on healing ourselves.
Right.
Like, everything you've heard me talk about, yes, I know that there's some things going, but it all begins and ends with me. I can't blame my pops for the decisions I made. Yes, he was a role model to me. But my brother wasn't doing all that stuff that I was doing, until later on in life. You know what I'm saying? My other siblings, I got another brother who's a state senator, up in Maine. I got sisters, I got family members who went on and did stuff, and we come from the same broken environments where they had even more trauma, knowing that, your dad has a wife, but he ain't here with me. You see what I'm saying?
I think I'm saying the same thing as you.
Right. And, but we can't ignore the fact that a lot of that stuff was systematically put in place. But how do we heal it is with the self-accountability.
So I'll add real quick. So like there's a term saying like the hunters will always be cast as the hero to the stories told by the lions, right? So for instance, let's say for instance, we don't have all the information on why Fifth Street failed. Yeah, we can just surmise to say it was prostitution is in the third. But like the financial literacy portion of that as well is these people could have been thinking renting is the thing to do, not even owning anything there. So whenever they wanted to do anything, they could always be like, okay, we'll raise the rent to make you move out, and then we'll bring in businesses, and then those businesses don't flourish, and then now it's dilapidated. So we don't really have the full scope of what actually transpired in that situation there. And
I mean,
but accountability is something.
There was a lot of drug usage and prostitution in that area, bro.
I want to add to the whole point of that as well, such as, for instance, so my first point of the story being told by the hunter compared to the lion is I remember the whole Nancy Reagan was saying,
just say no.
Just say no. But I don't see that same sentiment today when I go down to a city hall meeting and they're talking about these porta potties that are $470,000 that have dispensable needle ports in it.
Do you want that? I mean, but bro, that ain't for you though.
What I'm trying to say is the fact is that
but you don't need Nancy Reagan to help you though, bro. And you don't need Nancy Reagan to have sympathy, empathy, or anything. Like, bro, it's up to us to police ourselves. It's up to us to take care of ourselves. It's up to us to have our own schools. That's why, man, like segregation and the just fighting to be educated by people who had attack dogs in front of the schools was a bad idea.
I agree.
Like,
the worst
bro,
thing happened to the black community.
like, bro, if we would just be dependent upon ourselves and understand that we have the power to change our situation by us, you don't need anybody else. Like, you don't need help.
Here's this. See, it all comes back to one thing for me: the lack of spirituality in our community now. I'm not saying the lack of religion, because we got a lot of religion in our community. The lack of spirituality. You think about it, back when we were a unit, it was based around spirituality. When they started doing some things, we lost our way. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying about the self-accountability, but we would never be able to get back to that unless we start doing it from the grassroots and, educating one or two people. Just like how we do with Felons with a Future. I could teach you how to become a business owner, but if you don't start working on the mind, which is really guided by your spirit as a man thinks is how he's going to act. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? But if I don't have any positive people who are really showing me that it's okay to do this, I'm going to keep on doing this. I'm going to keep doing that. Social media, this, like I say all the time, this right here is a bad piece. We got all the information in the world right here, but we use it for the wrong thing.
Like I say, well, don't be a dumbass with a smartphone.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's my point is what your point is, bro. It does start with the grassroots. It starts with this show right now and making people understand from this point forward, just reshaping the mentality to understand, like, look, bro, you have the power in your hands to bounce back from a prison sentence to run for commissioner. Yeah, you got the power in your hands to go from your mother being murdered while you was in the house in order to just try whatever you like, bro, and then stick with it, cuz. And then you'll see that if you stick with something long enough, not only, man, like, bro, I didn't know how to make no t-shirts. I'm talking about one bit. I didn't even know how to open the program of Photoshop. I didn't even buy t-shirts to sell them. But I kept doing it long enough that now, bro, I'm making shirts for Felons with a Future. I've made 350 shirts for the county. I made shirts for every politician. I got judges, the mayor, everybody else coming through, getting busy with me, coming to our podcast. I started selling gold teeth, which is looked at as something that's real niggerish and ghetto, but people don't hold that against me. People look at me as an esteemed business person in this community.
And listen, I walk in with gold teeth at all these politician meetings and they love it.
So go ahead. The point that I'm saying is this, like, it don't matter where you start. It matters with the mentality shift. And then as brothers in our position, we have to communicate to the kids clearly that, bro, like, no matter where you at, you can start with what you got and then parlay it into something that's player. And you can do it no matter
what.
The point is, which will be my next shirt, you can make it anyway.
You know,
yeah,
and
we all agree that semi God is present.
Right, and like one of the things when I deal with some of the youth and everything, the one thing that they understand is they see the authenticity.
Yeah,
they see that, they see it, and like, coming from where we've come from and everything like that, we have to. One of the things I believe needs to be put back into the community, not the schools, and the community, because a lot of the education that we got was back in growing up was in our community. School was just a place that we went to hone some things. The neighbors taught us stuff. We gotta make being intelligent sexy again.
Yeah, bro.
Say that.
That's
You know
real.
what I'm saying? We gotta make that look, and that's one of the reasons why I still stay so connected in the community and in the neighborhoods. You've heard me say this a lot, Peanut. Where little Bobby needs to see a Greg getting up who owns his own business and going. When we grew up, the doctors still lived in the community, the teachers, everybody lived in the community. It wasn't like now, you know what I'm saying? Now what do they, if I think the only way I can get up and out of my, out of the state that I'm in is selling drugs, playing basketball, playing football, or rapping, that's a sad state. Because, like, we had role models growing up. We had store owners, you know what I'm saying? We had doctors. We had all of this still in our neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? Where we seen that. So once we bring that back and let people understand that it's okay to stop, we talk about the white flight, stop the black flight.
For sure. So I also want to add right now, man, here on the Legend of Hill podcast, we're actually taking donations for a time machine, right? So me and Ahava are building a time machine, right? But when we build a time machine, we'll have our guests be able to go back in one place and time in their life. Where would you go and what would you say to yourself? If you can go back sometime and whisper something in your ear.
I dig what you're saying, but the way my life has turned out, I wouldn't change a thing about it.
It's hard.
You know what I mean? Because, see, like, the reason why I would, because everything that I've gone through has brought me to the person I am. I had to go through those mistakes. I had to go through the misguiding. I had to go through all of that. Because, see, like, one thing I understand now, I didn't do it all for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kid right now in the Bass right now who wants to get out of what he's going through, but don't think that it's possible until he sees somebody who has 579, 298, and ran for county commission. And now, you know what I'm saying, can help you get in the trades. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in the event that you don't take the time machine, we have another one, right? So if you don't take the time machine, we say, what's something else you could have been great at if you just focused primarily on one thing in your life?
I could have been great at staying focused. Yeah, I'm going through a situation with my 14-year-old daughter now, where she doesn't realize, because I'm a full-time father and everything. You know what I'm saying? This is part of the karma for me being a womanizing person. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm raising my middle daughter, who's about to graduate from UD, Macintosh.
Salute to that. That's hard.
You know what I'm saying? And now, I got them both when they were in teenagers. You know what I'm saying? And there's one right now, she's a smart kid, but, she's coming from a place where she has so much trauma, and we're trying to work through it, where, it's like me all over again.
Mm-hmm.
But I get a chance to correct it by doing something that my dad didn't do, which is staying involved, not teaching her the negative, but teaching the positive.
Yeah.
So, like, Peanut, man, it's a beautiful thing. Like I said, I wouldn't change nothing. I really wouldn't.
So here on the Legend of Hill podcast, there's this thing called the butterfly effect. It was something you said in the course of the interview, something I found in the course of my research, I found to be truly profound and amazing, man. Earlier in the interview, man, like you talked about, you having this foundation of where, no pun intended, a foundation, because you're building concrete, it's foundation.
That's right.
Let the bars just happen. Yeah. But like you said, like you like the fact of bringing people in where they're empowered off seeing a finished product.
Right.
Right. And that kind of feeds back into a lot of us when we were out there in the streets was, okay, I can take this finished product and I'll directly see this thing benefit me. And a lot of time people will shortstop something that's not giving them any, like, direct to the bad attributes compared to something that long term affects them negatively. Like you go from selling hard to now concrete is selling too. You know what I'm saying? But like nothing more is more fascinating is to me watch you with, you know, Solomon. Because like Solomon is so brilliant, man. You know, I haven't met your daughters, but Solomon is one of the smartest people I know. I mean, he had offers to go to California to work in Silicon Valley and things of that nature. And if we want to judge somebody off of a tree, we're going to judge it off the fruit it bears. And for you to come from your beginnings and then go through all this turmoil, I mean, like, you're nothing but an inspiration towards people like myself. I consider myself a felon with a future. And for you to make that, you know, a statement, and it's bold enough, it's strong enough, and for you to be a king to actually go out there and get that large percent of the votes. And then now to the point where these other people who would have been your adversary now are people that you can now say like you are,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, like working with. And then that's how we make effective change, man. For that, man, you are absolutely a legend, man. I appreciate you.
that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's beautiful. Like I run across some of the cats that I grew up and knew in the streets. Like this morning when I was going to the gym, I ran across one of my friends. He was on his way to work while I was on the way to the gym. And he was like, I'm giving you your flowers now, man. 'Cause, you know, for people to see where you come from and see where you at. And they were like, we giving you your flowers now. We ain't gonna wait. Because they knew me. They know me. You know what I'm saying? That's the top, that's the thing when you got people, you know, it's like
They knew you.
Yeah, I got a whole
Knew you.
Yeah.
Knew
they
you.
me. You know, and
That's hard.
now they know me. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
They
here
knew,
you go. Here you go. Take that.
they knew me, and now they like the knowing that they know now. You know what I'm saying? And like for that to happen, man, I can't say nothing but, you know what I'm saying. I can't do nothing but give it up to, you know what I'm saying. One, believing in the universe, you know, that spiritual force, and then also not only that, this is one thing I say we don't do enough of, taking the credit for yourself, but having the courage to walk through that.
That's hard.
Because see, God will reveal a lot of things to you.
Yeah.
But do you have the courage to go ahead and walk through the door?
Right.
You know, I hear people always talk about God will shut the door, but you know, you're in the hallway. But do you have the courage? Do you have the courage to go find out if that door is locked or not?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go close that door. Just because I'm in the hallway don't mean, just because that door's shut right now, don't mean that, it doesn't mean that I'm supposed to not go back through that door.
That's
but
all.
now what happens is the experience I get in the hallway, I go back through that door with a lot more information and knowledge.
And it's
And
hard.
we don't go inside enough. That's why I say the problem I see too much in our community
It's
is
misinformation.
misinformation.
Agreed.
It is.
We have to start with some. I cannot say I want to help heal the community and I'm still broken.
Yeah.
Because see, then I'll get caught up in all kind of scandals. One thing I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about getting caught up with, you know, in the hotel room with a bag full of dope. I'm not worried about, you know what I'm saying, me cheating and getting all that. Because I've done enough work on myself where my self-esteem doesn't say I have to go outside of me to make myself feel full. I'm in a committed relationship right now, right? And my girl lives 8 hours away.
That's hard.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm in a committed relationship. And what I come to understand, Peanut, is the reason why when I was married and all those other relationships that I broke because of my myself not being able to stay faithful was all due to my low self-esteem. It ain't got nothing about, you know, my girl is a good person. She is. But I don't do what I do for her. I do it because now I believe in myself. I deserve this.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
and the hard thing about it is now, bro, is like you literally sealing fractured people, which also that what concrete does. We need your legendary observation as well, bro.
Man, I agree, man, with the fact that misinformation is probably the thing that's doing the most damage to just people in general and our community. But
Agree.
I want to swing it one more time though, bro. So I did ask you what was the worst thing you see in the community But let's bring it back to what you really like. It's more solution based.
Mm.
And then, so
Thank you.
what is the most positive thing that you see in our community?
The most positive thing I see is where we are starting to come together. Like that's why I say, I see so much positive happen in our community. Where I see a lot of people who are getting past the ego about, you know what I'm saying, it has to be done my way, and we're networking together. I see that, you know, like one thing I understand about networking is so much power in that. So
The back of your shirt, bro. Let me read the back of your shirt real quick. So, what my brother is doing, bro? Tomorrow he is taking some kids,
over 70 kids.
over 70 kids to a Dayton Dragons game.
That's hard.
And on the back of the shirt it says, "Thanks to our supporters." We got Dakota Center, Edgemont Community Coalition, TG Racing, Dayton Fellowship Club, Dayton Weekly News, Dayton Airmen, Wesley Dayton, B Love Foundation, Montgomery County, Matt Joseph, Jeff Mims, Shaw Cleaners, Turpin Chimneys. You got Network and Chill and T-Shirt Kings, okay?
And I forgot to put my man Willis Blackshear on there. My
And
bad.
Blackshear, but now,
Shout out to
now
Blackshear.
let's keep going though, because I just threw a book signing, and my book signing is a similar situation where I got ATLX Radio, that's my brother Hoodro,
Shout out to
Hoes,
Hoodro.
Horizon Science Academy, Wright and Schulte, Owens Entertainment Management, the Alumni Tournament, Ebony Vacations, Amani, East African CMOS, Fit Fam, Acute Eye for Design, Pastor Pete, Agnes All Natural Grill, Attorney Ben Swift, Taco Street, Carmel's Day Spa, Dr. Isaiah Pittman at the Center for Diabetes, Network and Chill, The Real Flyer Queen, Kiara Wine,
And Red Sky Bullies.
Red Sky Bulls.
Bulls.
So the point that I'm saying is this. Like, bro, we are coming together.
We
Yes.
are. Yes, we are.
Like,
Yeah.
bro, you went and got money. My bro gave me $1,300 to make them shirts. I didn't make the shirts for free. I didn't make them at full price, but I did make them for free. All the people came together, and he went in his own pocket, brought money to my business, but at the same time, they came together in order to support what he's doing.
It's hard.
Right.
That's putting your money where your mouth is.
Mm.
That's being serious about action. All of these sponsors, they cashed me out, man, just so I could put on my book signing at the Schuster Center. Next time we gonna go to a black, and I don't even want to say it like that. But next time I'm gonna take my money somewhere else beside the Schuster.
Where it'll be appreciated.
I ain't even saying it. The Schuster Center, we can do better. We can do
Agreed.
better, man. I want something to rival the Schuster Center, and it's gonna be like the White House when we bring Rick Ross or something, man. Go down there with B White.
That's
and
hard.
get
Shout out to
busy.
B White
Let's
for
help
sure.
B White grow into something similar to what the Schuster Center is.
And that's-
It's already nice, but you know, just keep supporting him until he continues to grow, so he can rival that. Because
And that can be a possible. And
It-
no,
it-
possible.
it's right there.
That's a
Yep,
reality.
right there.
Right
It's
there.
It's a
Especially that.
reality that we can do is if we stick to the plan, which is to collaborate with each other.
for sure,
You
it's
know.
got to be that, man.
It's
For
got
sure.
to.
It's got to be that. But you know, bro, my observation just of you, bro, is this, man. You know, you battle tested, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you ain't stopping. And you know, you saying everything that should be checked off on a journey or a checkpoint when you taking a journey somewhere.
It's a bar.
You know, bro, just the way that you thought about where you was at, came up with a plan, got out, worked your plan, understood that it starts with spirituality, changing mentality, and all of these positive possibilities, and just understanding, like, man, you know, you ain't into making excuses, but you are into understanding why things are the way that they are, so you can attack it and strategize better in order to how to overcome these things. And that's all that you really trying to say when I'm saying like accountability, you like, yeah, bro, I hear what you're saying, but we got to kind of just like peep the shit that's in the game, man, so we'll understand how to better fight these things and navigate through it.
We
You
got
know what I'm saying? And I respect that, and I'm on that with you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You got to.
But you know, Kind of like when you know what you gotta lift, you'll know how hard you gotta work out to actually
Yeah,
Right.
That's a bar.
get busy and pick it up
And
and
you
get it
know,
out your way.
out of all these sponsors on the back of my shirt, everybody brings a certain element to the game, right?
Yeah.
And like I'd be remiss without walking away from this interview without giving, because I put his name on there wrong. It's True Game with TG Racing. It's TG USA Racing, right? And that man, me and him and a couple other people, we networked together last week, sent over 50 kids over to the Indianapolis Speedway so that they can enjoy,
Nice.
you know what I'm saying? And you know, and me and this brother, we just started networking earlier this year where I'm talking about not even a 3-month period has gone by. And we, you know, I'm tired of going to meetings and nothing gets accomplished.
There you go.
We walked out of that meeting and said, we're going to get busy. And that's what it was. I'm talking about that article was in the Dayton Daily News, giving a shout out to my man Lamar Ford. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying, he did his thing. You know, because you know he also does designs and T-shirts, and he was kind of upset at first. Like I said, but if the people are paying for the shirts, they're going to tell me where they take the money. I'm going to take it to them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but even though watching what he did, and he, you know what I'm saying.
Is that
kids.
Lamar? Is that game tight? No.
True game. No, True Game.
True game.
True Game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my boy though.
Yeah, that's my man.
Oh yeah.
You know
man,
what I'm saying?
that.
All love.
And you know what I'm saying? And you know, to see us, to be able to come together, put personalities aside. Me and this dude ain't known each other no more than like 3-4 months, but you couldn't tell us that we ain't known each other a lifetime now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to
Soul
be.
bond.
It's supposed to be.
Exactly.
When I walk out of this room, man, you know what I'm saying? Anybody I encounter, I'm supposed to treat like I'm known for a lifetime because that's the way I want to be treated.
Yeah, bro.
You know, and it's real.
And okay, go ahead.
And I was going to say, because I know you're going to wrap up in this. Remember, June the 3rd, if you want to get involved with your community, Wesley Dayton, formerly known as Wesley Center, we're having our monthly breakfast club where we're getting up there and not just discussing the issues, we're coming to solutions so that we can go ahead and start teaching each other how to empower our own community and take our communities back.
Can you get that poster right there so we can read Kenya's stuff?
Oh yeah.
And also, we'll be doing the same thing we did for the kids for this baseball game. We'll be starting, you know what I'm saying, doing everything for our next one is going to be in August at the Dayton Dragons again, where it's going to be based on fatherhood and mentorship.
So speaking of fatherhood and mentorship, I'll be remiss not to ask you about the time you had when the Steve Harvey story. Were you there with Iron Solomon, man?
Okay.
Come on, I gotta hear that story.
All right. One of my closest friends, like, look, man, the business that I'm in right now, you know, as far as the audio recording, my mentor, he put me out there on my own. And he happens to be a frat brother with Steve Harvey. They went over to
Shout out to Steve Harvey.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
love you.
And like so my man Ricky Curry down in Cincinnati, you know what I'm saying? Like when they had the last I want to call it network and chill. But,
It was a frat.
no, it was the big black entrepreneur. What your boys off of
The Black Tech.
yeah they earn your own leisure.
Earn your leisure.
Well,
Shout out to Ian Dunlap.
When the thing that they did down in Atlanta, my man hit me up because I was going to go at first, but I thought I had a gig to do that weekend. I wasn't going to go. He hit me up. He said, "Look, man, I done talked to my man. He going to get us some tickets." I told him my business partner was going to come. I said, "Can I take my son?" He said, "Yeah." So we get down there. And we get to chilling. And we're sitting there. This made my son's day. We're sitting there, we're sitting in the VIP room after Steve did his thing on stage, empowering us. And Solomon's sitting at the table. All of us sitting there.
Who's Solomon sitting next to?
Yeah. Well, hold on, but let me tell you, Solomon's sitting there. First, his daughter come in and sit at our table, but he ain't, he's over there,
Lori Harvey, by the way.
He caught up. But Steve comes in and sits down, and he asks my son, "Can I sit? And Solomon said, "It's your table." But like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't realize, you know what I'm saying? He was just worn out. And this is where my perception of Steve changed from, everything you hear about people with celebrities and we don't know them. My man Ricky, like I said, I gotta always give a shout out to Ricky Spade Curry. That's my man. You know what I'm saying? He's sitting there with his wife, and Steve is spent. He's sitting there next to my son trying to get his guy. He got his assistants all in his face. But when he looked over and seen his frat brother Ricky, who was my mentor and my business partner, the way everything just erased off him, he just lit up. That showed me a side of him that, you know what I'm saying, the humanness in him. Like, all of this doesn't matter no more. I got my dog with me.
That's hard.
The man is right here.
That's hard.
And no matter what I ever thought about or heard about and started, you know, that misinformation, you hear things and you start judging people you don't know about. All of that was erased at that time when I seen when he seen his dude, his day one, how nothing else matters,
His
man.
face lit up.
But, you know, Solomon still loves them pictures and everything. It was beautiful, though, for us to bond during that whole thing while we were down there at the Invest Fest and everything like that, man. And watching him navigate, my son navigate, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing a true hustler in him, but he's doing it the right way. He didn't go through what I went through, you know, learning it the hard way in the streets, you know, and it was good. But, man, watching him and looking at Steve's daughter the way he was and all kind of
Major. Well, yeah, go ahead, man. Let's go.
Well, this Saturday is the African Liberation Day 2023, building our community. And it's going to start at Salem and Superior at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, she said it's going to be free breakfast, a toy giveaway, drill team competition, and $300 cash prize and
Yes.
ALD trophy.
Yes.
What's ALD trophy?
African Liberation Day trophy.
African Liberation Day trophy. Good shot, bro. Thank you, bro. You feel me? That's helping the community. Right, and so we got the keynote speaker, New Era Nation, and the founder and president, who will be Zeke.
For sure.
And he's
Strong brothers.
He's based in Detroit.
Yep,
right?
yep. Big
And,
dog.
Man, we had videos of these bros pulling up in some like big semi-looking truck or some truck with a trailer on the back of it, just handing out toys and throwing out basketballs. So they said that they want to do this same type of campaign, man, to just, you know, come and bring some joy to the kids in the neighborhood. So they walking through the view, the Liberation Park, and this is going to be Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. So everybody go to Salem and Superior, 9 o'clock Saturday.
I'll be there.
And just be a part of this. You know what I mean? It's more than a march. You know,
right.
Yep.
It's the African Liberation Day 2023.
That's hard.
Man, coming through. So, man,
Shout out to Kenya
check
Akbar.
me in, my sister Kenya Akbar, man. Love you, sis. From now on, anytime I mention my sponsors, I'll definitely mention you.
That's right.
No doubt about it, man.
For sure, man.
All right, bro. Come on, take us out with some words of wisdom, bro.
Man, the only thing I'm going to tell anybody, man, look, don't be ashamed of who you are no matter what circumstances you've been through. Go inside, man, because those things that you go through is going to develop the character that, you know, you're going to need to help empower somebody else. Because there's somebody who's going through the same thing you're going through or worse that's going to see you and say, hey, if he made it through that adversity, I can make it too. You know? And that's the whole thing, man. We, you know, I used to say that every organism on the earth only had one purpose, was to come here, reproduce, and die off. Because, you know, you even see the smallest molecules, that's what they do. They reproduce and die off. But we have a special thing as human beings that we're able to do more than just, you know, multiply and die off. We're here to help other people grow before we die off. Make sure that dash in between your birth and your death means something.
Yeah.
Make sure that dash means something.
There it is.
No longer looking for those in power, because it's no more stronger than the people that's empowered.
There it is.
Dasher for LLC, your business, my business. And Legendary People Podcast, Legendary People, Legendary Stories, man. Been another one, man.
Yes.
What you got to say, man?
Man, we love everybody, man. Come through and check us out at T-Shirt Kings, 4301 North Main Street, and get my book, bro. Bestseller on Amazon for almost a week straight. Stolen the book of Ahava Elian, stolen from my father, named after my mother's murderer, man. Go search it on Amazon and swoop it up, man.
Major.
Love you, King.
Love you too, man.
Thank you for coming, bro.
Thank you, man.
Real,
Yeah.
bro. We
Yeah.
have you,
Yeah.
bro.
Well,
Honored
you
to
know.
have you, King. For real,
Yeah.
bro.
Appreciate
And we
you.
want to bring you back, man, to like talk about other, you know what I'm saying, like other pressing matters as well, man.
Yeah,
So,
man. I'm open for whatever, man. I'm down.
yeah, for sure. Oh, where can they reach you at?
Oh, you can check us out, you know what I'm saying, on our website, which is felonswithafuture.org. You know what I'm saying? You can reach us there. Also, our email is felonswithafuture@gmail.com. You can reach me at 937-270 3731. We're starting to take applications for our fall cohort. It's a 12-week class that we put on. We're in the middle of our spring cohort now. We don't do it in the summertime because life is so busy, but we're starting to take applications. If you know anybody who this program might help or you think it might help, please get in touch with us. We do more than just the class. We also do mentorship because a lot of people might not want to touch on that trauma right now, but they need a mentor to know how to navigate when they come home and stay out here.
There we go, man. Legendary People Podcast, legendary people, legendary stories, man.